moving away just for a little bit from the whole area of love and romance, which is very much the theme of the week, the talking point today is on, well, have you seen those profiles or documentaries on these strange people who have sort of psychic perceptions or dreams or certain kind of knowledge that most of us don't have, and they're used by the police to build up either a profile of a criminal or to maybe hunt out the spot where remains are left, or all kinds of uses they're used for. Two guests now who are going to help us to explain what's going on and whether there really is substance. With me here is Christopher Robinson. Hello, Christopher.
Hello.
And we'll chat about what you do in just a moment. And on the line is Dr. Charles McCreary. Hello, Dr. Charles.
Hello.
Hello, and you're from the Institute of Psychic Studies, yes?
The Institute of Psychophysical Research in Oxford.
Well, I was nearly right.
Nearly right, yes.
And you've written a book called Lucid Dreaming.
That's right, yes. That's dreams in which people are aware that they're dreaming. And it's one of the possible states in which it might be practicable to investigate this supposed faculty of ESP.
Well, Dr. Charles, stay with us, because I think you would probably like to investigate the chap who's sitting next to me, Christopher Robinson, and listen to Christopher's story. Now, Christopher, I actually met you last night, didn't I?
That's right, you did.
And we had a little chat,
yes.
And you said, first of all, how would you describe yourself as a bloke?
I'm just a pretty regular person, really.
Yeah, no, you're not given to...
No, I'm not really religious. I'm not really... I was a television repairman, and I used to just go along doing my job and living a normal life.
I should mention that, as you know, we set you a little test.
Yeah.
Next to you is a huge box.
Yeah.
And in that, Sarah Dunn, who works for the Livewire team, placed an object.
That's right.
And at the end of this section, we're going to ask you to guess, and you've written down notes.
Well, it's not a guess. I will interpret a dream.
You will interpret the dream and tell us what you think is inside the box. And we all know you have not looked inside it.
No, I haven't.
Right, let's get to your story then, Christopher. You're a regular guy, and you were telling me last night you had the ordinary dream, nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
and then one day something happened.
Yeah, I mean, basically what happened is on the 30th of September 1989, I had what I would recognise as my first lucid dream. And in that dream I was with a soldier who had told me that he had been killed, and he said to me he wanted to take me on a journey to where there were some terrorists, and I agreed in the dream to go with him, and we started to fly, and we ended up at a hotel in Cheltenham where these people he said were terrorists were. And when I woke up from the dream, I was visibly shaken by the experience, because I've never ever had anything at that point like it. And I was so upset and perturbed by it that I rang the police. And I met with our chief inspector of the police where I live locally, and we wrote down the notes of the dream, and I gave him the piece of paper that I'd written all the other stuff down. And the matter rested there for 11 days until on the news these people had been arrested in the hotel exactly as the dream was. And then it started there, really.
You see, I know you've got loads of stories you can tell, but I know
hundreds of stories.
Fred West, now the mass murderer Fred West,
well,
I should add alleged mass murderer, I guess, but anyway.
Well, alleged deceased.
Yes.
In the next world.
Now then, you had a vision there, didn't you? Not a vision, but a dream.
Just after the whole story opened up, a young lady came with me in a dream to the house, and she said, and I can't remember if she was 8 or 9. She said, but I'm in the chimney. I think she was number 9, but she might have been number 8 or 9. And she said, my name is Carol. Now I passed that information on to 2 people, on to Chief Inspector Alex Hall at my local police headquarters, who deals with me as a psychic for the police, and I passed it to a reporter at the News of the World. And at the same time in that dream, she took me to a field. Now the field was full of pillar boxes, and there were all these envelopes, and there were 2 particular envelopes in the field which she'd drawn a cross on. And I discussed that with Gary Jones and Alex Hall. Anyway, it turned out that I think either number 8 or number 9 was a lady called Carol. She was found in the chimney. The extraordinary thing was her last known address was half a mile from where I now live. And they found the other bodies in a field which was later to be, and I think had always been known, but the world got to know it as a letterbox field.
Letterbox field.
Letterbox field.
That's quite extraordinary.
It is quite extraordinary.
Christopher, stay with us. What's happening here, Dr. Charles McCreary? Can you explain to me what is going on there?
Well, I would say in a general way that the first thing that's interesting is that Chris says his dream, the first one, was lucid. In other words, he realized he was dreaming. And that is interesting because they're quite different from ordinary dreams. I mean, to some extent you can control them. I mean, you can dream of what you like once you realize it's a dream. And in fact, we have carried out experiments in which people at a distance from Oxford, because I'm based in Oxford. I mean, for example, we had a subject in London who used to have frequent lucid dreams, and she would try and dream when she realized she was dreaming of coming to Oxford and looking for a target which we'd set up here, in fact rather similar to the one you've set up there, with an object in a box. And we tried to make this sort of quantitative. In other words, there were 4 divisions in the box, and she had to guess not just which of a small set of objects it was, but in which compartment of the box. And we did in fact do a number of trials like this, which were unfortunately inconclusive. I mean, this is a general difficulty with this subject, that when you get a single anecdote or happening, like Chris has described, or even 1 or 2, it's very difficult to put an actual value on the likelihood of it happening by chance.
Stay with Dr. Charles, because I just wonder what something you said prompted a question to me. You told me last night, actually, that Dr. Charles McCreary talking about inconsistency.
Yes.
But the police, I gather, used you finally, or latched onto you,
well, the police,
because of consistency.
Yeah, I mean, basically what happened from that dream in the 30th of September 1989, I was put under surveillance by the police because, as far as they were concerned, the dream was a load of nonsense. That was my excuse.
And you had inside information
I had inside information about terrorist movements. And they put me under 24-hour, 7-day-a-week surveillance. And that surveillance continued, to my knowledge, right to the end of 1990. But it changed in February 90 because the soldier who took me in the first dream to Cheltenham came back and took me to Leicester.
What do you think's happening? What do you think?
I haven't got the foggiest idea.
So you told me a story last night, and I'm going, because of time, I'm going to shorten it. You had an extraordinary lucid dream in the Philippines, didn't you? You were in the Philippines, and you had a dream that in this area, a woman was going to be savaged, a woman was going to be attacked. Nobody believed you, and then what? Tell the last story. What's the last line of that story?
Well, basically what happened was on Christmas Day I sat with the Chief of Police and the Mayor of this province and said that, you know, this is going to happen. And the very next day, the Mayor's niece was cut to pieces in the river by 2 maniacs.
Does it frighten you? Does this frighten? Does your
Oh, it did in the beginning.
Frighten you?
I mean, the fact that I could do it repeatedly night after night, first of all, frightened me, but it also made me realise it wasn't nonsense. It made the police realise that it wasn't nonsense, so they stayed with me, and I still have my own personal liaison officer because of it. What annoys me is what the scientists want to be able to do. They don't want to look at what is happening. They want to control what is happening and then prove it's there. And that's nonsense. You've got to look at what's happening and prove what's happening is happening, not try and alter it.
We'll come back to you, Christopher. Dr. McCreary, do you think we're getting to the stage where, with somebody like Christopher, where we have to start to begin to believe that these are scientifically, almost measurably provable, the existence of psychic perceptions?
Well, I would say, for a start, I don't really like these terms like psychic or paranormal. I mean, that's from really a sort of theoretical point of view.
Well, you know what I'm saying anyway, yeah.
Yes, I mean, if a thing happens, then it's normal in some sense, even if it's unusual. But putting that quibble on one side, I think the position really is there are these one-off incidents which are very interesting and hard to explain, and basically our position is we are open-minded about them and we would like to investigate them, but we think, you know, obviously money is needed for this. I mean, we are trying to, in fact, raise money at the Institute for a scientific research program into this whole area, including...
But you think the police would be right to use them under certain circumstances, yes?
Well, there's certainly nothing to lose by it. Of course, one problem is that the police seem to be very cagey about ever letting on to what extent they do find it useful. I mean, it's one thing for a member of the public, like Chris, in perfectly good faith, I'm sure, to sort of say that they are finding the information useful, but apparently the police have a policy of never confirming or denying this. So it's very difficult to assess. But I mean, certainly I don't see there's a lot to be lost by trying it. I mean, it's one possible way in which you might be able to get at an investigable phenomena.
Okay, Dr. Charles McCreary, thanks for joining us. We're going to leave it with Christopher. We're going to open the box in a moment. What you just wanted to say a quick word, didn't you?
Well, basically, I want to disagree with one thing he says. I have found, as a matter of course, that where I have been right and I have told the police in advance, they have never ever denied that I did it. They have never ever been not fair with me.
Okay. Now then, let's get to the point where we asked you, didn't we?
Yes.
And you've made, now show the viewers, you've made a book of notes.
Well, this is my dream book.
Did you have dreams last night for this?
Yes.
Right.
I mean, I started dreaming before I even knew about the show.
Right.
And I kept drawing this same drawing over and over again. And last night I was still drawing a similar object.
Yeah, and Sarah Dunn, who works for Livewire, placed an object in that good old box there.
Yeah, and I mean, basically I think
what did you come up with, do you think?
Well, it's either, it's some kind of circle, it's possibly got a hole in the centre.
Excuse me,
and
I'm sorry about this,
it
folks.
could either be a telescope mirror, which is round with a circle, a reflective, or it could be a compact disc.
A disc of some sort?
A disc of some sort, yes.
Could be a disc of some sort.
I've drawn a disc consistently.
Well, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's a record, yeah. Well, I've actually got here recording disc.
A circle with a hole in it?
Yeah, with a hole in it.
That is incredible.
And I've got it written down here. It's either a recording disc, but all the way through the book it's been something that has got a recording on it.
Christopher Robinson,
record.
That has to be acknowledged as a triumph. We have to, whatever else we think, that is a triumph.
Thank you very much.
No two ways about it.
No.
Thanks very much for joining us. Nice to meet your son last night, by the way. Look after him, won't you?
Yes, I will. Thank you very much.
That really is something else, isn't it? A circle with a hole in it, out comes a disc. Whoosh.